In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together this star ornament, and I actually made it so that you've got a lot of flexibility in what you do. But let's take a quick look at the pieces and the parts and talk about how you're going to decorate it and what you're going to do with it. So I'm going to start by opening my bag. As usual, I have scissors handy, although this pair is not very sharp. Maybe I'll replace it before I open the next bags. Dull scissors, Professor. And we're going to pull out the big star and a bunch of little stars and a piece of ribbon. That's really all that's here. Now what we've done is we have the big star, a nested star to go in it, and no, they're not symmetrical, so you're going to have to figure out which way they go. And once you put this second layer in, you'll know where the top is. Nope, not there. It's going to be the last place I try. But by definition, it's always the last place you try. And then this star goes in next. Now, the reason I included those two layers without holes in them is just to give us a quick and easy way to align and make sure the spacing was right. But also to give you some additional fun pieces of laser cut wood that you could do things with. And then we've got another piece here. And you're going to take one of those stars that has a little hole in it, and you're going to put it there. Now, when we build this, oops, the holes all have to align properly. When we build it, you've got a lot of choices. If you want to use the little stars, you could attach and dangle the little stars below, like that. Kind of the idea was to give you lots of choices. Rather than my telling you how to put this one together, you're going to get to pick it and put it together yourself. So you're going to want to decorate both sides. Obviously, this will spin around and sand both sides of whichever stars you decide you want to use. And then the idea is that we can pull these two inner layers out and still have our lovely lined up stars dangling from the middle. So the other choice might be to dangle a little star in both of them or below them. Give you lots of choices to how to play with the little stars that you've got in your bag. And how many ornaments you want to make with them is completely up to you. So step one, go decorate, go play, go have fun getting your star ornaments ready to put together. Now that you've got all of your parts and pieces decorated and ready to make your really fun star ornament, we're going to go ahead and put that piece together. So I'm ready to open my ribbon. We've given you a really long piece of red ribbon. And I suspect for most of you this will be plenty of ribbon for anything you want to do with it. But I wanted to give everybody choices. Of course, you can always go get ribbon of your own to use with it as well. I suspect you're going to do something completely different than what I had in mind, but that's perfectly okay with me. So the first thing I want to do is I want to fasten this ring, the third one, in from my main star. So I'm going to cut a piece of ribbon, about 8 inches long. And what I'm going to start with, this is what I figured out is the best way to do it, is I'm going to fold it in half. And I want to push both ends of the ribbon through this little hole here. Now this is the biggest challenge, is going to be feeding the ribbons through the hole. And I'm building myself a little loop here, now that I folded it in half, and I can slide it through like this to hold it in place. And then what I want to do is I want to feed it through, and I'm actually going to feed from the front to the back, just so you can see how I'm planning to tie the knot here. I'm going to feed from this front one through the hole to the back. And I'm looking at it to see where that alignment is to make sure I'm happy with the alignment in terms of centering. And I'm going to hold on to it and flip it over so it doesn't move. And of course it did move, but I can go align it back this way. What I figured out works best, and you may end up with something completely different that works best for you. So I want to tie a square knot. So right over left and left over right, in the spirit of all good square knots. And I'm going to want the square knot to sit in that hole itself. So there's my right over left. And you might need to phone a friend, have somebody else hold the other half of the ribbon for you when you get this, while you're tying this knot, to get it nice and even, and so your star doesn't slip around when you do it. Because you don't want it to shift too much. And then I managed to tie a nice square knot here. And it's nice and centered in place. Everything looks perfect where I want it to be. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a little drop of glue right here into that hole. Set it on something else for a minute and give that a second to dry. And that's going to tie the ends together, trim them up nicely for me, give me a nice even place to keep that knot. And once I'm happy with that, then I can actually trim the ends of the knot off themselves to make sure nothing goes anywhere. And by putting it in the hole, you're getting yourself a really nice solid knot that can't be undone. Pick up some of the rest of that, make sure nothing got scooched out the front to ruin my pretty piece. And I've got my first piece hanging in. And then I can do the same thing with the second one. Now the second one is a little harder. And what I did with it was, now notice you want it to be able to spin sideways, which is kind of why I've done this the way I have. In the second one, I was worried that actually tying the loop there would be a problem. I can give that a try again, and if it doesn't work, I'll show you the other way I did that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull another little piece. A little harder to get both loops through here, but I can do it. It's a slightly smaller hole just to challenge your manual dexterity. Some of you will be more skilled at this than I. Oops, I almost had that. Well, I did have it, but I pulled it out. If you have a ribbon needle, you could use a ribbon needle to do this too, and it would be really easy. Do the same thing. Slide that through and build myself a little loop for this layer of my star. And we're going to go ahead and run that same right side leg through my hole up above and pull it through to the back. Flip it upside down. Center it where I want it to be. I didn't cut quite enough ribbon to make this easy to tie. But we'll do the exact same thing we did before. Tie a little square knot here. Pull it down, make sure it's where we want it to be centered in the project. And so it's all hanging properly. That's not a square knot. I have never been truly skilled at little things. One more try. Too short a piece of ribbon. Too short a piece of ribbon. We may have to pause the video while I tie this knot, so you don't have to laugh at me any more than you already are. Fine. Make it longer. This is partly why you have lots of ribbon, but you also have lots of ribbon so you can do other things with it. One more try. Longer piece of ribbon. Fold it in half. Stick it through the holes in the heart, in the star. One ribbon through. By the way, if nobody ever taught you the trick, cutting ribbon at an angle is a great way to make it easier to thread through things and to get to. Angles of ribbons are one of those tricks. I don't know who taught it to me or when, but I've learned it knit for a very, very, very long time. Okay, flipping it back over. One more try. Through the front heart with the cute little pointed end. Not heart, star. Now, we do want to make sure you all have a wonderful holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate, and we're just oh so grateful that you're part of the Steamy Tech and Box of Making family. We're just incredibly grateful to have all of you as part of our family. Now we can do this. I got a nice long ribbon now, way longer than I need, but longer is better than too short. Hold that where I want to hold it. Try this one more time. One. Yes, this will work much better. And I do realize that it's not Thanksgiving yet, and it's way too early for other holidays, but you know, you gotta get your decorating done early if you're gonna have time to build. You must have time. All right. Making sure that knot is nice and tight and not going anywhere. Cutting the ends off. Pushing it into the hole. And putting on my drop of glue. Wiping off the excess on the back. Nope, no excess on the front to worry about. And last but not least, I can take the last of my ribbon and run it through the top of my star to give myself a hanger for my ornament wherever I'm going to hang it. And then I've done that same thing with doubling it over on the top. And I'm just going to tie a little loop across the top. And now I have my ribbon on the top of my ornament. And you've got all this other stuff to play with. So have fun.